In 2023, researchers tracked over 50,000 people for nearly a decade. They weren't testing a new drug. They weren't testing some elite training program. They were just counting steps. And what they found should scare every pharmaceutical company on Earth. Because the people who walk the most cut their risk of dying early by nearly 50%. No pill on the market comes close to that number. Here's the part that gets left out of every "Just Walk More" article you've ever read. Walking doesn't just burn calories. It rewires your blood sugar, changes the bacteria living in your gut, and physically reshapes your brain. Stick with me, because change number 7 is the one almost nobody sees coming. And it might be the real reason you're tired all the time. Here's something your doctor probably didn't mention at your last checkup. The single biggest predictor of a blood sugar crash isn't what you eat, it's what you do in the 30 minutes after. Right after a meal, your blood sugar spikes as your body breaks food down into glucose. Normally, insulin has to work overtime to clear it out. But a 10 to 15-minute walk does something insulin can't do as efficiently. It pulls glucose directly out of your bloodstream and into your working muscles. No insulin spike required. Do this after every meal for a few months. And you're not just avoiding an afternoon energy crash. You're training your muscles to become more efficient glucose sponges over time, which is exactly the kind of adaptation that keeps type 2 diabetes at bay. This one surprises even doctors. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria, and scientists now believe that community, your microbiome, affects everything from your mood to your immune system to how efficiently you absorb nutrients from food. Here's the twist. It's not static. It reacts to how you live. Diet gets most of the credit, but researchers have found that regular walking shifts the composition of that bacterial population, increasing strains linked to lower inflammation and better digestion, while crowding out strains associated with metabolic problems like insulin resistance. Athletes tend to have noticeably more diverse gut bacteria than sedentary people of the same age and diet. That gap didn't come from a supplement. It came from movement. In other words, every walk is quietly renovating an ecosystem inside you that you'll never see, never feel directly. But that touches almost every other system on this list. This is the one that convinced neuroscientists to start prescribing walking like medicine. Walking increases blood flow to the hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped structure in your brain responsible for forming new memories. In a landmark study, older adults who walked briskly for just 1 year showed measurable growth in hippocampal volume, effectively reversing 1 to 2 years of natural brain shrinkage. Let that sink in. Most anti-aging products promise to slow decline. Walking appears to reverse it, in the organ that controls your memory. If you've ever avoided walking because you were worried about wearing down your knees, here's the myth buster. Cartilage has no blood supply of its own. Unlike muscle, it can't get nutrients delivered through the bloodstream. It survives entirely on a different mechanism, compression and release, like a sponge that only absorbs fluid when you squeeze it and let go. Walking is exactly that squeeze. Every step compresses your joint cartilage slightly, pushing out waste product, then releases and pulls in fresh synovial fluid loaded with nutrients. Do this thousands of times a day, and you're essentially giving your joints a nutrient bath they can't get any other way. That's why orthopedic surgeons increasingly push walking, not rest, for people with early joint pain, and why people who walk regularly report less joint pain over time, not more, while people who stay sedentary see their cartilage slowly starve from lack of movement. You don't need a runner's high to get the benefits people chase in intense workouts. A single walk raises endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, the same neurotransmitters targeted by most anti-anxiety medications. But here's the part that matters more. This isn't just a temporary buzz. Studies tracking regular walkers over several weeks show measurably lower anxiety scores and fewer depressive symptoms. Not because of one good walk, but because of the compounding effect of doing it again and again. Inside every one of your cells are structures called telomeres, protective caps on the ends of your DNA, often compared to the plastic tip on a shoelace. Every time a cell divides, those caps shrink a little. Once they get too short, that cell can no longer divide properly. Shorter telomeres are one of the clearest biological markers of aging, researchers have found. Sometimes a stronger predictor of biological age than your actual birth certificate. Here's what's remarkable. Moderate daily movement, walking included, has been linked to significantly longer telomeres compared to sedentary adults of the exact same chronological age. Two people born the same year, one sedentary and one who walks daily, can show measurably different rates of cellular aging. On a cellular level, consistent walkers aren't just staying fit. They're, quite literally, aging slower than the calendar says they should. Morning sunlight combined with movement anchors your circadian rhythm by triggering your cortisol spike early in the day, right when it's supposed to happen. That single shift cascades forward, because your body then knows to release melatonin on schedule that night, roughly 14 to 16 hours later. Most people chasing better sleep reach for melatonin gummies or a $400 mattress upgrade. But if your body's internal clock is already out of sync, none of that fixes the root cause. A 10-minute walk in morning daylight might do more for your sleep tonight than anything on a pharmacy shelf. Just 30 minutes of walking mobilizes immune cells called natural killer cells, your body's first line of defense against infected or abnormal cells, including the early stages of some cancers. These cells get released from storage in your spleen and other tissues and start actively circulating through your bloodstream, on patrol. This isn't a one-time effect either. Studies tracking regular walkers over flu season found they got sick less often than sedentary people. And on the occasions they did get sick, their symptoms were milder and resolved faster. You're not just avoiding illness. You're upgrading your body's patrol system. One walk at a time. Quick myth bust before we go. You don't need 10,000 steps. That number wasn't science. It came from a 1960s Japanese pedometer ad, and it stuck. What the actual research supports. 7,000 steps a day is linked to a dramatically lower risk of early death. Walking within 30 minutes of eating blunts blood sugar spikes the most. Morning walks do the most for your sleep and mood that same day. Consistency beats intensity, every time. A 20-minute walk every single day will change your body more than one brutal 2-hour hike once a month. So here's the challenge. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, take a 10-minute walk outside. Just once. See how you feel by noon. Drop a comment when you do it. I want to know. And if you want to know why walking might actually beat running for long-term health, that video's coming next. Subscribe.